Hello, how is it going? I was able to make it today on Wednesday. How you all been? Have you been waiting a lot? I am Emilio Coppola, and this is Godot Tomorrow. This show we cover a little bit the news, what we're doing at the Godot Foundation, what's happening at the Godot project, and I'm here for answering all of your questions. Um, so yeah, what's the music here? You can read the description for the music of the intro. I think it should be there. But yeah, we had a release yesterday, a dev snapshot for Godot 4.6, which is the third one, and let's jump into it. So, one of the biggest features that this release brings was the inclusion of the new theme, the new editor theme, which was no secret. We already been talking about it for a long time. This is sorry, the music is not in the description. I will add it later. Yeah. The new theme, it's been going on for a long time. We announced it. I think at the first time I talked about it was the GodotCon in Boston, where I was doing a Q&A there. People asked me about it. The conversation was already going, and Passive Star's theme has been more or less the most popular theme for 2 years, like since it came out. So yeah, a lot of people were asking for it, using it, giving feedback, and we reached a point that it was ready for us, to take that step. And yeah, it is now something that you can get when you download the latest snapshot. Of course, not everything here is final. You will see that many of the elements don't look exactly right, and that's because with the new theme, we might start to change the configuration of some of the panels, some of the nodes, to accommodate for them. And this is something that will continue happening throughout all this process. So we are only in the third snapshot. You can, expect in the next snapshot to see more changes. And if you find something that it's not exactly right, you should open an issue, show a screenshot, and we should be able to address it. Since the big PR got merged, a lot of them got merged afterwards to make many small fixes. Michael Alexander, you might know him as Yelham, and Passive Star have been working on it, and they've been doing a great job. The name was also somewhat controversial. We called it the Godot Modern theme, but it's a placeholder for now. We are open to any other ideas. The old theme that was, popular since Godot 4, which was like the Godot 4 theme, it's now called Classic. So you should be able to go back to that one, and you can change the accent color at any time. I will do a little demo maybe later of that if you're interested. But yeah, just looks super nice. It's nice to give it a new coat of paint, and this will work as the basis for us to modernize some of the areas of the engine that might need it a little bit. But yeah, I encourage you to read the blog post. It goes a little bit more into depth of it, and yeah, there's other changes that happened on this release, and more will come in the next ones. But one of them was how you modify the arrays, like the arrays editor in the inspector, which had these big buttons on the sides, like the moving and the deleting, that made it a little bit cumbersome. I believe this screenshot is wrong. User came, I believe this is from the GitHub issue, but there is this one. I think this is the latest version of it, so it looks a little bit more clean. easier to understand. And the biggest change is the buttons like on the sides were moved. Instead of being a huge thing here, like just a smaller thing there. You can compare them and you will see. I think I have it here. Yeah, this is the old one. This is the new one. So it's definitely, I think it's better. But yeah. Oh, we have Passive Start on the chat. Hello. Um, I can see you, Quiz Bites. I see people are asking stuff. But yeah, so that changed, super cool. Looking forward to see more improvements. And the other change that was quite big on this release, which I covered in the previous Godot Tomorrow stream, was the screen space reflections. I'm not gonna go too much into it because if you want to see a demo, you can see it in the last one. But let's compare it, the old one and the new full side by side. You can really see this is how it was before. This is how it is now. You can tell that the old one was a little bit useless in terms of like, it's not exactly what you want, right? I think it looks super cool now. Same on more steps, so like more quality. The performance is also, it didn't take a huge hit here, but it's generally better. And here for the roughness, the old one is plain broken. Like if you check, this is the old one, you can see all these black artifacts there and it's all very blocky. And the new one, it's not great because this is like a very exaggerated example, but you can see the improvement already, which is super cool. And the metallic surface, the old and the new, and this one, I have to be honest, they look horrible in both, but I think that that's the point, is how it reflects. It's a very extreme case, but you can see that the old one was basically generating a lot of black artifacts, like like in the other example, but now it's more properly like generating those reflections. When you mix them all together, I think you get a better effect. So yeah, Frank saying, I'm considering making a necessary demo scene. That would be great, having a scene that we can also reference to try it out and to see if there's any change, to try it out on a scene that's always the same, like the Sponsa scene, but something like that would be great. Then for other highlighted PRs on this was to remove default skeleton path in Mesh Instant 3D, add create resource hotkey, add split to create new node dialog. And this one I was interested because let me open it. Yeah, it was basically the description here on the dialog, which usually contains like the documentation of it, of the node that you selected. It was really hard to read. So now you can open it. I have got it here open. We can maybe see it in action. So now when you create a node and you select one, you can make this bigger, which, it's good to read like more comfortably. But yeah, which is pretty cool. Then finding files allow replacing individual results. This one also was really interesting. I think I have it open here as well. So here, basically, let me jump to the end of it because there was other versions. Now you can, GitHub is acting up. Now you can press on, replace all matches in file, and you have the icons on the side, instead of having to do it like either search or replace all, or you can basically select the ones that you want to change for files. I think this is not exactly what you want for refactoring, but getting you closer. The refactoring tools PR is still being worked on, so until that's ready. This is the video from the proposal, which is not exactly how the feature ended up looking, but yeah, I need to prepare a project for the streams so I can open and try them out. But yeah, I wanted to highlight this one. And the rest are various improvements and fixes. If you want to see the full list, you should be able to see it on the website here or on the interactive change log, where you can see all the different changes that happen in Dev 3, which are 241, which is a lot. So yeah, we might miss a couple of them for the highlights, but we're gonna make sure to check them again once we prepare the final release page. So yeah, I think it's coming up super nice. If you are trying the new theme, please send your feedback and let us know what you think. I think it looks quite nice. People were like a bit confused about the color, but if you really want to get back into the old Godot blue color, you can change here in the theme the base color. You can do whatever you want. If you want to do like a blue, you can. I'm not sure why you would do it, but yeah, that's the cool thing about this sort of themes. You can modify it to whatever you like. Not only the base color, but also the accent color. So it's very customizable. And if you really hate the new one, you can go back to the old one, to the classic theme, which will be in gray as well, which might be good enough for you. But you can also modify the colors there to whatever value you want. So yeah, for now I will stay on the new theme. I will try it out. One of the biggest concerns I saw once this got merged was more about contrast and stuff like that. So it really changed. But yeah, we have Passive Start there on the chat. So if you have any questions for him, you can go ahead and ask him directly. All right. Let's see. Okay, the game that we showcase here, my card is better than your card. It's a card collecting game, I think. I wasn't able to play it, but looks super nice. The art is very, very cute. Yeah, I really, really envy the people who can make these amazing images. So yeah. Hey, I see people are asking Passive Start for a lot. So yeah. Can you please leave a link in the chat? Yeah, if the chat is kind of like not allowing any one of you to post links, let me know, because usually the auto mod tools moderate that, but we should be able to share those. All right, so that's a little bit what happened with Godot Dev 3. In a couple of weeks, you can expect Dev 4, hopefully with more improvements on the theme, but also on the other areas, rendering and everything else. Now, let's see. Okay, we do have, sorry for the flashbang. We do have the Nodeletter went out a couple of days ago, I think. Yeah, the last day basically of October. And it was basically, this is our monthly newsletter. We gather a lot of the interesting links, a lot of the things that were happening on the project, and then we send it to your email so you can read about it without having to be online always and knowing what's going on. And we have just a small summary of the blog posts that we had on our website. One of them is not a blog post, but is the Godot plushie, which has been doing very well. A lot of people were able to get the plushie again, which is great due to popular demand. It's back, so yeah, you can get it. And 2 maintenance release. All this happened during October. I covered this in the previous Godot Tomorrow. And then in the community showcase and tutorials, sometimes we show some projects that caught our attention. In particular, this one was making the rounds, which is the transforming the Godot engine into a powerful 3D PowerPoint. And it's a great article. I really recommend you to read it if you want to go through it. The too long didn't read is basically using, instead of PowerPoint or any software like that to do a presentation, using Godot itself. And the author goes into how to build this and how it looks like. If you have to do some 3D representations and things like that, the tools are very limited. So I think this is a great example of how you can use Godot for other things that are not games, and how versatile is the tool, right? So again, he goes more into the project, how it's set up, how it looks like, how the slides look like. It even has presenter mode. Yeah, here we have it. So even when you are like presenting it, you have your notes and everything, which is super cool. Like, this is so much attention to detail for a presentation. And you can run the presentation yourself. So at the end of the blog post, you can have here the launch presentation. I will probably not run it because my computer will explode since I'm already streaming, but let's see. Oh, yeah, well, it works. I hope it doesn't explode now, but yeah, you can see, all this is basically a Godot game, which is super cool. I know that Nathan from GDQuest have done, like, they have done something like this, like a presentation software, and other people also during GodotCon did a presentation that all happened inside Godot. So maybe it's something that we should try to standardize a plugin for. But yeah, it was really interesting. And this is only one of the many things that we show on this newsletter. We also highlight projects that happened to release during the month of October. Dream Away, Spooky Express, which was perfect for Halloween, Wimel Academy, and Tosuha Night, which I think we already highlighted this game in 2023's showreel, something like that. Then for FOSS tools, one of the highlights was the Brachy's particles control. So if you're working with VFX in Godot, this is a good way of trying to, preview your VFX. So you have the explosion and then you want to actually see frame by frame and things like that. It's a great tool to try it out. This is something that at the foundation we noticed that many people are struggling with. So you might see soon some improvements to particles and VFX. Hopefully that will not take a long time to make it. Of course, I don't think it will be for 4.6, but for 4.7, I think we will start to see all these VFX improvements. And the fact that Brachy's also made this tool, it's a good signal for us that yes, people need some improvements here. Hello, Gilles. And let's see, like, the chat has been going super fast. Is the new look for the editor here? Yes, you can download the latest version and you can try the new look for the editor. But yeah, let's continue with the list here. Then this time we highlighted some jams. There was one that really caught my attention, 20-second game jam. If you don't have time to participate, you're lying. But yeah, it starts in 8 days. So, if you have 20 seconds, you should participate. And yeah, we already highlighted the Starfinder Afterlight in the previous Godot Tomorrow stream. So this is the Nodeletter. If you want to subscribe, I will link it to the chat here. You will get an email with a lot of news at the end of it, at the end of each month. So that should be 12 emails per year, unless we skip one. But should be okay. All right, let's do maybe a little bit of Q&A, and then we can go and read the the questions that you left on the forums and in other platforms. And I would like to remind everyone here that next week we don't have a stream because we'll be at Godot Fest, but the other week we'll have Clay John, who's the rendering lead. So if you have any question about rendering, lights, shadows, effects, rendering, whatever's, you should ask it, and we're gonna compile them, and we're gonna do a live Q&A with Clay. So Godot is good for replacing PowerPoint. Yes, you can. It might be an overkill if you only want to do a small, simple presentation, but if you want to use some graphics, which is actually something, thank you for asking that again, but this is also stay-at-home dev also mentioned this, which, it's using basically Godot to create some visual representations for videos. And this is something that I've seen more and more people do. So not only using Godot for the game itself, but to create a scene to show something in a video. So you create it, you record it, and then you use it in your video. I think it's great, especially for explaining some basic concepts, and you don't need to do any fancy After Effects or any other weird software to get it done. So yeah, let's see if I missed any of the questions here. Let's see. No, I think there was a lot of conversation, but are there any news on getting inverse kinematic nodes back in future? I think so, yes. I've read some conversations about it. I don't know if they already made it for this version or the next, but I think that there was some progress by Tokage on inverse kinematics. So yeah. Will Godot.con be held in Toronto someday? That's a great question. It has a very simple answer, which is no yet, but there is a conversation going right now about a Godot.con happening in Canada. Which actually, maybe I can talk about this because we still don't have everything set up, but there's a chance that next year we'll have 4 different Godot.cons, 1 in Europe, 2 in North America, so 1 in Canada, 1 in the US, which in the US one, we already announced that it will be in Boston again, and another one in Japan. So that would be 4 Godot.cons. We're going to try to make it happen, so you don't have to travel too far away to meet other people. And we always want to keep them as affordable as possible and as accessible for everyone. So I know that going now from one continent to the other is very expensive by plane, and that people really want to be involved in the community. They want to give talks. They want to meet, content creators. They want to meet other Godot creators. So yeah, not in Toronto, maybe, at least this year, maybe next year, who knows. Can I use the hybrid app editor with Steam VR? I think you should. Yeah. I don't know exactly what you mean with the hybrid app editor. Or maybe you mean like the one for the Quest. I don't think you can, but I might be wrong. I don't have a headset, so it's a bit hard. But I can ask the VR team and let you know. I just popped into the stream. Are we still able to ask questions? Yes, you're always welcome to ask questions. So you should never ask if you're able to ask a question. You should ask the question directly, because now you missed the chance for me to actually answer your question. So on the forums, we had one question here, which wasn't for Clay. The rest are for the rendering team. If you want to ask a question here, I will leave a link on the chat. The question was by Alex TKD 2003, which is also a Godot fan supporter. So thank you for the support. Have you seen Dagger engine. I heard it's now open source. From the demo, it's been used in many 3D games with great graphics. Do you think it'd be useful for the Godot dev team to review the code and take some ideas from it render related? Well, it was rendering related. But I think I can answer this one. If I remember correctly, and I have it here, the Dagger engine was something that the people from yeah, Gauging Entertainment, which maybe they are behind one of those war games. I don't remember the name at the moment. And this is like a demo they released like 11 months right now. And it looks quite good. It's a comparison with Unreal Engine. And I think with all these engines, yes, like it's always good that they are open source, so you can go and read the code. But depending on the license that they have, I don't remember exactly which license this one is in particular. You cannot really copy and paste the code, right? Like if it's a license that it requires you to also open source everything else, like it could be like GPL, then it gets tricky. And maybe it's also like a dual license setup where they can give you the code for free, but then if you want to do something, you need to license it, like it could be Unreal or anything like that. So it's always good to have it as a reference, but it's not something that you can go and take. Seems to be like this one, right? Yeah. You cannot come and take it and do what you want with it, but that doesn't mean that it doesn't help. And yes, I think that like the team will for sure like check what sort of techniques happens in any engine and see what can be improved in ours. And same happens the other way around, like like for some time ago, like there was this news about the source engine using some implementations that Godot did for the rendering. So yes, the answer like is yes, but I believe like not everything on this engine is open source. I think part of it is, but yeah, we'll see what comes out of it. Yeah, I hope that answered the question. All right, where we are at. Let's see. What's happening with Godot physics? Is Jolt supposed to completely replace Godot physics? I don't understand the place of Godot physics when Jolt is now the default on the new projects in 4.6 Dev 3. Okay, so what's going to happen? Like, imagine that you created a game and you started making it in Godot 4.1, 4.2, and you didn't need super fancy physics, so Godot physics was fine for you. But you still want to keep up to date. You still need to keep, downloading the latest versions of the engine because maybe they include some fixes on rendering, maybe they include a better editor or things like that. So that's the main reason why we are keeping the Godot physics, because many games who have been done with that and have released or like are in development that don't really need something complicated can still use it. So we're not going to be, taking that away from them. But moving forward, and maybe this is something that could happen in a Godot 5, let's say, then the Godot physics engine will probably get removed. So you cannot really leave people that are currently using, because they started in older project, the Godot physics without that physics engine, because moving it to the new one might create some issues to their game that are too costly or like completely changes how the game behaves. So yeah, the idea is to just keep now every project with the Jolt, and yeah. I see you asked a follow-up question, so I will answer that one before going to the rest. You said, I guess my main question is Godot physics going to continue to improve, or will it be deprecated in the future? So if we find some issues that somebody can address, or if they're critical enough, they will be fixed. But the idea is to keep it only like on their way out. So eventually to be deprecated in terms of like, I don't think it will receive any sort of overhaul or big improvement. It will be more like a maintenance thing because it's part of the engine now. Okay. Andre Kling asks, have you guys thought about organizing GodotCon with the Blender guys during the Blender Conf? Maybe I got Monday, Tuesday, and BlenderConf the rest of the week. Yeah, yes, that was a conversation I actually had with some people at Blender, and while it's definitely an opportunity, there wasn't a lot of overlap on their end, right? We do have a big overlap between Blender and Godot users on our side because most of 3D game developers that are using Godot are also using Blender. But most of the people who go to the Blender conference are not making games. They are making movies, they are making products, they're making like marketing materials, automotive visual representations, like things like that. So it makes more sense for us than for them. That's one thing. The other thing is like you don't really want to go a full week to a conference, or like not that you want. It's more like you. Not a lot of people can. It's very costly to be in Amsterdam for a full week without working, like spending all that time in a hotel, like doing a lot. So it's a bit more complicated in terms of like it maybe sounds good, but then the logistics of it, it's maybe too much effort for then not a lot of uh, upsides. Um, so I think like and what we are working towards, as I said on previous streams, it's like yes, we want to do something in Amsterdam, and that's what we are working on for the GotoCon in Europe. It will be in Amsterdam, and we hope to have some Blender guys also over, but it will not be at the same time of the year or in the same week. So if you are close enough, it should be good, but it will not be during the same time. That's more or less it. Um, let's see. Oh yeah, the other part of it, which is like Monday, Tuesday for the BlenderConf, for the GodotCon. We are trying to avoid using weekdays for the official GodotCon. We have the Godot Fest next week, but that's organized by another group, and it was trying to aim to more towards the professional audience who can actually take days off from work to go to this because it's actually work. But from what we know from the people who came in previous years, most of the people who come to the Godot cons are hobbyists, or they already have another full-time job, or like students. So it's better for them to do it on the weekends. And I think that we're going to try to aim at doing them on the weekends as well. Like this year, there's a bunch of people already asked, hey, will I see you next week? And they were like, no, I couldn't take time off from work, which is unfortunate. And I think that this will change with time, that the more people that are professionally working with Godot, the more that we can see this change. But for now, I think doing them during the week, it's a bit risky. Maybe it could be Friday, Saturday, Sunday, which, could be like a good compromise. Regardless, Jolt, there is a long thread on character controller stair stepping function. I think I know what you mean. Yes. If Godot goes with Jolt in future, is there a chance of Jolt virtual character stair stepping be added to CC? I don't know what you mean to CC. But yeah, for the character, yeah, I remember the conversation, but our biggest issue and the reason why we ended up going with Jolt, not only because Jolt was clearly better, but it was also because we don't have at the foundation a physics maintainer that could actually go more into owning that area and doing all that. We have Herb Boring, who's been contributing for a long time on the physics side. We had other people in the past. Juan has also been doing work on physics. And it's hard. It's difficult to commit to adding something because we don't have just the people working on it. It's similar to the audio situation, right? Audio has been stagnant for a long time because there isn't anyone actually doing audio work. So yeah, it's a bit difficult. I don't know if that answered your questions. Any news on C# for web export? the news is the same as always. We are really interested in getting it done. There should be some news very soon about the GD extension. Will come soon. It will not be part of 4.6 like official build, but it will happen at the same time, which means that you will be able to try the experimental build that includes C# as a GD extension soon, and they will go kind of like on parallel. So you will still be getting 4.6 updates and the C# GD extension updates. Once that work is done, then the C# team can go into full web mode. But we first need to finish that one. But yeah. Is there a feature in Godot that you don't see get enough credit? I think there's many features, and that's something really interesting of how the nature of the online conversations work. And it's usually the fact that whenever there's something missing, a lot of people are asking for it, making noise on social media, and the conversation goes around what's missing there. We're always waiting, right? Like waiting for Godot on the Godot Tomorrow streams as well. But then there's many things that people don't say anything about. And I do know that people really like the notes system, how they work and all that. And I haven't seen many people complain about it. And that's the reason why I believe that those features are more or less the best they can be. Because yeah, whenever something works, people don't tend to notice too much. And that's kind of the goal, with the theme as well. If you start using a new theme, you will notice that it's, at least for me and other people, like it's less in your way. The goal is not that you see and you think, oh, this is beautiful or this is so well designed. The goal is that you are not thinking about that. You're not thinking about the editor. You're not thinking about the notes. You're only thinking about your game and how you are implementing things. And the editor is not in your way. The editor is something that happens. That would be ideal in every side of the engine. When people have like a feature that they're waiting for, like the global illumination and things like that, that of course means that our current solutions are not good enough. So people want something. But I'm sure that the moment that we add some good global illumination, the conversation will be something else. It's something that happened in GDScript as well. I think GDScript is a beautiful language for what it needs to do, which is making games in Godot. And it has a lot of features already compared to Godot 3's GDScript. And the conversation will make you feel like it's not good enough because it doesn't have traits. It doesn't have like structs. When are like this stuff getting added? And that's what, people online kind of like laser focus on a lot. But most of the time you're just using it and it's working very well. And it has allowed many people to make great games with it. So yeah, I think it's more or less more like a perception, right? Like thing. I don't know. I don't want to go too off topic, but yeah, let's see. Have you considered offered paid live streams for the cons? No, because that would be kind of weird. But also the problem with not doing a live stream, it's mostly the logistics of it. While you're doing the conference and you're also recording and doing all that, also live streaming, it's really costly. Not only monetarily, like getting the gear and everything set up and the professionals to do it, but also maybe we get, how many are we here? Like 120 people, I think YouTube is telling me, like doing all that effort for just this amount of people. Of course, there might be a little bit more maybe during a stream versus having a very good recording and then uploading it and people can watch it whenever they want. I think that's way better for us. And, our goal is to keep the tickets as cheap as possible to be able to get as much as possible of value for the people coming. And the talks will always be recorded and uploaded. So adding things like live streaming to events will just make it more costly for everybody else. And I don't see a huge improvement in terms of like what people get versus just getting the recording. But yeah. Um, will GDScript support union typing and generics like TypeScript in the future? Yeah, I mean, those are conversations that the GDScript um, is the GDScript team is discussing. The problem is like you're here like typing union typing and generics like in TypeScript. Many people have different expectations of how those should work, and many people even have different definitions of how those features should work. So it's a bit more complicated than saying this is exactly as that other language, because GDScript is not TypeScript. So yeah, let's see. If I'm not mistaken, you mentioned in a previous stream that the aim of Goal is not to create art assets per se, but the place where things get combined. But wouldn't animation be different? I'm not sure I understand the question, Andre Kling. But yeah. Has the Godot team considered adding a blueprint from Unreal type language to Godot? Um, yes, that's something that it gets brought up a lot, and we used to have one. So yeah, I see Billy P answering. We used to have one, and it got removed. The problem is not the blueprints itself, like the main thing that the editor, which we already have something similar for the visual shaders. So technically, like the nodes and all that are already done, like the way of the interface. The problem is like in Unreal, you have different pre-made functions that work to give you that functionality. And in our case, we would need to build all that. There is, though, like from the Endless Foundation, they are working on a solution for this, which is called block coding for Godot, which this is basically like Scratch, and you get the benefits of having a drag and drop system and a lot of pre-made behaviors that you can add to characters in your scene, stuff like that. This is one of the plugins, and there's also another one which I believe it's called like Orchestrator or something like that. So yeah, there are some plugins, but for us to support something like that first party, we will need to make that level of abstraction that makes it easier. I would love to have it done eventually. That's how I learned to make games using Game Maker's drag and drop behavior. It was really easy when I was a kid to understand. So I wish that we get something like that eventually, but it's not a priority. But yeah. Let's see. Wow, the chat is going fast. Okay, let's see. There's another question. IES lights when? I don't know exactly what those are, but if it's a rendering question, which I assume it is, you should ask on the forum. Gonna leave a link on the chat again, because in 2 weeks we're gonna be doing a Q&A with Clay, which is the rendering lead. So any of your rendering questions should be answered there. Are there plans for adding namespaces to GDScript? I believe that that's a very highly requested feature, so I hope so. I don't know if the GDScript team has like a plan on them yet, but I know that many people would benefit from it, and especially now that we are, trying to encourage people to make more plugins and extensions and things like that. It would be really good for those plugins to be self-contained and not interact with the rest of stuff, because sometimes you have different plugins using the same names, and yeah, it gets tricky. But let's read. Jill here writes, in my opinion, blueprints are useless. GDScript is simple enough, so most people don't need a simpler solution. In Unreal, there's either blueprints or C++. So the simple choice is blueprints, no alternatives. Yeah, like that's the main reason why we were able to kind of take the visual scripting away, and it wasn't the end of the world in Godot 4. But still, I feel like there are benefits to having some sort of system like blueprints in Godot, which I think like eventually it will happen. Maybe it's an extension, like an official extension, or maybe it's one of the plugins that are happening there. But I think it really adds a lot of value for people who are not familiar with the usual opening a text editor and writing code on it. And if you see some people using blueprints, there was a lot of streams by this YouTuber who was making, let's see, he was recreating Simpsons Hit and Run, the game for the old game for kind of like a Simpsons GTA, and it's a great series. It's all in Unreal, but you can see on here how he creates everything with blueprints. And I know that this is kind of like a going fast sort of series, so this is not exactly like how the developer experience is. But once you see the power, like in how little time you can get behaviors working with just a few blueprints, you see the value of it. And it's not until you see people like this using blueprints that you don't notice how an artist or a designer or anyone that's not just a coder can really get a lot done without bothering anyone else on their teams. So yeah, if you haven't seen it, this series is great. Reubs remaking Hit and Run, and you will see like the power of how something like blueprints will benefit the development. So as I said, I would love to have something like that, but there isn't anyone working on it. Passive Star says, don't underestimate how afraid artists are of coding. Yes, that's exactly it. That's 100% it. But yeah. When will we get Godot 4.6 version? So I think the release team had like a timeline, and if we are based on previous releases and stuff like that, we might get it on January, but it's hard to predict. There could be many things happening in between. There could be some broken stuff that we need to fix last minute. We never know exactly how impactful Christmas are. So a lot of people, take time off during the holidays, not only on the foundation, but also volunteers. And, a lot of things also at the foundation happen thanks to volunteers. So it really depends. The goal is to get it out on January, but we'll see. But yeah. All right. Do we have maybe another question? Let's see. I don't have anything else on my list. I did have this, which is, if you are going next week, see you on Tuesday at the Godot Foundation Q&A on Godot Fest. I will be there answering your questions like here, but in person, so you can, see like the other people, not only me, struggling to answer. But no, it should be fun. It's the first one after the opening, so while you have breakfast, you can come. And yeah, see you all there. But yeah, we can answer a few more questions, and we are getting closer to the hour, so I will start closing stream. Can you guys work with AMD on day one driver support? I wish. Yeah, it will be really cool that we get like more attention. They are helping us, I have to say, like all the driver developers do fix stuff, but we are not the highest priority. And they are focusing on the bigger games and the bigger stuff, but they are helping us. It would be ideal that NVIDIA doesn't break our drivers, or AMD doesn't break our drivers and stuff like that from time to time. But yeah, it's not like they are just leaving us to stray. But we're also doing some improvements in the engine to hopefully break stuff less. And yeah, since we hired the new rendering person, we are, for instance, gonna be using uh, hopefully a direct 3D12 as the default rendering engine for Windows, and that should fix a lot of the issues that we're having because that's better supported than Vulkan. um, and in Linux and Mac we don't have the same kind of issues. In Mac we now have like the metal renderer, which is much better, and Apple, even if in some things they are a bit annoying, in this they don't really um, break compatibility a lot. So we should be fine. When do we expect Wayland Game Embed thingy support? I think that should be soon, right? If there isn't a PR merged already, there should be one soon. I think I read about it recently. Um, so yeah, it should be coming soon. I don't know the status of it, but yeah, you should probably look it up because I remember reading about it. Oh, Sander, see you there. Yeah, that's great. Um, Wayland Embedding PR is currently in draft. Okay. Yeah. Well, then that's how I remember it. I know that there's interest in getting it done. We have Derry, who's a volunteer who has been doing solo carrying the Wayland support for a long time. So it's really great to see the progress there. But yeah. Um, uh, do you have any advice for people that want to help improve the Godot engine but don't have the required skills to do at this time? GitHub, C++, PR. Yes. Um, if you open our website, let's see. You open our website and you have the contribute button here, you will open the documentation on how to contribute. And there's different ways of doing it. Uh, donating really helps a lot. Um, Spreading the word about Godot is also like another way of doing it. Making your own games. So if your game does well, people know like, hey, what game is this? What engine did you use to make this game and stuff like that. And then reporting bugs is very, very important. Like many times, if there isn't an issue about it, we don't know that it exists. So if you find something, you should report it. Or if you find that somebody else reported it, you can upvote it or comment, I'm having this issue as well, things like that. So it really makes make it easier for us to identify big problems. And there's many other areas which I always say, like, you can make different things that are not exactly coding, right? Like the website sometimes needs translation. Maybe there's a local community in your city that they would like to know more about Godot, so you can go and give a presentation about what Godot is. So there's many areas in which you can contribute to Godot that are not exactly sending C++ patches. But if you want to send patches, there is many tags. There is many issues who are tagged like first good first issue or something like that, in which you can you know get around the very basics of Godot. If you already know how to make Godot games, the Godot editor somewhat is similar in terms of how it's structured. You should be able to make very small contributions. But yeah, there's many ways. It's not only contributing code. Uh, but yeah, and Fireye, um, it's also, for instance, contributing if you want to, in things like the Nodeletter, which if you find some cool links, you can share them and help with different areas that are not exclusively just sending code. So yeah, thank you, Fireye, for contributing on the Nodeletter, and yeah. Okay, we are gonna be leaving it here. Maybe a couple of last questions. Um, what is the status of the asset market? So the asset store, it's getting quite good. The problem is like it wasn't as visible like what we've been working on, because most of it was more on the moderation and stuff like that, like the asset approval flow and things like that. But it's getting there. Um, we also started working on the integration inside the editor, and ideally in future versions, I don't know exactly when, but you will be able to choose if you want to use the asset library or the asset store, and slowly we need to transition everyone to the asset store to deprecate the asset library. So yeah, there is a lot of work on it, and we're still not in a moment where we can say this is out of beta, because we're still making many changes. If you publish something there, you will notice that some recently we added analytics, so you have very in-depth analytics of visits, of how many people downloaded your assets, in which version of your asset they downloaded, things like that, which we had the information in the server, but we had to expose it for the users. And yeah, there's many details like that. And people try to upload things that are super huge. We need to find ways of better dealing with those. So we're getting, a lot of those backend tasks done. And once that's ready, we will make another push of promoting it, of inviting people to use it. So hopefully we will get, a better idea of how ready we are. What we don't want to do is releasing it in a status that it's not there yet for when we start, integrating it with the editor and all that, and then people, you know, not really liking it. I think it's already almost there to the point that we can replace the asset library. I think it's already better than the asset library, but yeah, the editor side of things still needs to be fixed. The search also recently got an overhaul, so you get better search results, but the scoring system of the search is still not good. Like you get assets that are not very well reviewed first, but those things is something that we can fix with time. Um, so yeah, let's see. A quick round. Speaking of books, I have an issue on a recent jam where the editor told me infinite loop detected. Check set loops description, but didn't provide a line of code. Is that intentional? Never seen that one, but if you open the code editor, you have sometimes like a warning triangle that you can click on it and it will tell you the line of code. I don't know if that's it. I haven't seen that issue anywhere. Do you have a tracking PR issue for the asset store yet? Yes, we do have the asset store repository. So if you let's see, it might take me some time to load. I don't know why I'm having some issues with the internet. I hope the stream was good. Yeah, I don't know why, like, I was having issues with the loading of some pages, and the store was one of them. Anyway, there is a link on the website that says like if you have any issues, there's an issue tracker for the asset store, and then you can see all the issues that have been created and some that are bigger ones. Which, we also have a change log in which we say which things made the changes, but it's mostly for front end stuff. I think this load already. Yeah. So here you have the change log and the roadmap. So for the change log, you see like what things have happened in the front end side of things, and in the roadmap, this is like the bigger sections of the editor that we want to of the store that we want to change. And then on the issue tracker, it's more like we have many issues open, and some of them have PRs already. We also have an internal tracker, but more or less everything should be here. Okay, so that's it for me. I will leave it here. Thank you everyone for coming. Looking forward to see many of you next week. And in the next one, we're gonna have the Q&A. So go to the forum, post your questions for Clay, and yeah, looking forward to see you. Yeah. Bye.